It was almost time for the glorious battle. A few samurais fighting against each other with honor, picking their allies from a restricted list with only one limitation. Nobody should dare to pick the evil bear, the strongest Sashimono of them all. Every samurai had always followed that unspoken rule. Everyone. Until...
Idiots! Of course I'm gonna cheat! I pick Evil Beer out of the list. Yes, Evil Beer! The strongest, the fearless warrior! Alright, let's go now, just to make sure. Evil Beer, hey!
I am meditating. I need no distractions before the battle.
I'm calling just because I want to make sure you didn't forget about Sunday.
Please don't call me ever again. I'll be there on Sunday.
Evil Beer? What if you forgot about Sunday? What do you think? You forgot about Sunday? I think you forgot about Sunday. Okay, I should call them. Evil Beer, my Sashimono! Evil Beer?
No distractions before the battle.
Sunday, the battle... My Sashimono, it's me!
Who is it? Mom?
I just wanted to make sure you remember about tomorrow morning. Bright and early. Hi, Sashimono. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. It was like a little... I'm sure you're right. Hello? Hello?
1 minute to the beginning of the battle. All samurais come to the battlefield.
In a minute! I'll be there in a second. Yeah, that's my list. I'm missing one. I know. Don't worry. Losers. Wait until you see Evil Beer.
If all your Sashimonos are not there at the beginning of the battle, you will forfeit the battle.
In a minute! I'm not gonna forfeit. Yes, you'll see. Come on, Evil Beer.
And the battle begins.
In a minute. Okay.
Black team,
Can I go without...
you are eliminated.
Welcome back to ITeachHerSheWins for another juicy episode. Today we're going to be talking about a juicy game. What's the name of the game, Mollie?
Sashimono, by Joshua Sprung, published by Lord Chase Games through the Game Crafter.
It's a platform similar to Kickstarter, but with a few different elements. The key differences are the fact that there are no stretch goals, but share discounts. The more copies of a game are sold, the cheaper the game price is at the end of the campaign. And when the campaign is over, the game is immediately published, produced, and shipped. A Game Crafter campaign is much quicker than your standard Kickstarter campaign. How many players does he play, Sashimono?
It plays 1 to 2 players.
Good. So overall, it's thought as a 2-player game. The Western Army versus the Eastern Army, but there is a solo variant.
It plays 30 to 60 minutes roughly.
Yeah. Again, as Mollie would say, being a high complexity game, expect your first games to be longer unless you use the shorter variant provided for by the rulebook, going to 2 victory points rather than 3.
And it's a historic, small box, high complexity game.
Exactly. And what type of game it is?
It's a tactical puzzle-like card game.
Exactly.
Yes, it's set in Japan in the 17th century. You lead a coalition of daimyo and samurai. They're fighting...
Trying to conquer Japan, right?
Fighting
in the
for control
17th century.
of Japan.
The Western Army versus the Eastern Army. Wait, West is, you got it.
You do it by managing a tactical grid and a handful of cards.
3 by 3. Each player would have his 3 by 3 grid.
Yes.
And a hand of
A hand of
card.
cards to complete this puzzle-like objective.
What about the art?
A lot of historical images.
Exactly. And let me open a parenthesis. There is a strong history or historic component here. It's both in the rule book, and there is a terminology and theme intro. There is a glossary, and in the game itself, the art, like you're seeing some photos right now, and there is even for instance a dual aligned Sashimono card for the Western Army representing an historical event that took place in that era. So the history, even though overall it could be categorized as a slightly abstract game, but the history is there. And the mechanics.
Well, the mechanics, hand management.
Correct. As we said, you would have your hand of cards to play around this 3x3 grid.
Command cards.
Cards that once are played activate special actions. Yes.
Pattern building.
Yep.
And grid movement.
Yeah, exactly. You will be working around this 3x3 grid. And one of the juiciest mechanics.
The secret unit deployment.
Exactly. Some of these cards will be played face down, so your opponent, you leave your opponent wondering about things. In Sashimono, players alternate turns until one player reaches 3 victory points by having checked and scored 3 Sashimono cards. Each Sashimono card has a unique scoring condition, and there are a total of 34 unique cards, granting high replayability. There are 2 different types of cards, the Sashimono cards and the Kumi cards, which are used to create a 3x3 grid. The Sashimono cards instead are played outside of the grid to the 12 adjacent spaces, and they work as common cards. At the beginning of the game, each player creates his 3x3 grid with his Kumi cards, following a specific pattern studied for balance, and then draws 3 Kumi cards, 5 Sashimono cards, and puts 2 at the bottom. After looking at the cards, selects 3 to keep and puts 2 at the bottom of his deck, having a starting hand of 6 cards. Then the game begins. Every given turn, each player decides whether or not to take an action turn or a score turn. The action turn. You play a Sashimono card on an empty space adjacent to the green, on one of the 12 spaces adjacent to the green, and take that card's action if you fulfill its requirements. So if you do, you can take any action listed in the Sashimono cards, plus the base actions, which are battling a column, battling a row, and drawing 2 cards once per turn. Score turn. First, you scored any bout Sashimono cards, and for each score Sashimono, you gain 1 victory point. You check to see if you won the game. If you have 3 victory points, the game is over. You are the winner. If not, then you draw n plus 1 Sashimono cards from the Sashimono deck, where n is the number of Sashimono cards you've just scored. Look at them, keep n, and return the other one at the bottom of the deck. Then you may return into your hand any unscored Sashimono cards. Then you may perform 1 bonus action from the following. Bakofu. You draw 1 Sashimono card, then discard 1 Sashimono card from your hand or from play. Dojo. You train a Kumi card, and we'll explain what that entails in a little bit. Janin. You flip face up or face down a Kumi card, then draw 1 Kumi card. Yurin. You rearrange Kumi cards in any one line. Training, it's a very important component of the game. Adds an extra layer of strategy. When you train, you add 1 Kumi card on a face-up Kumi card in your Sone, in your 3x3 grid. By doing so, increasing the rank of the card and adding types and powers to the original Kumi card, guaranteeing you more flexibility and more strength when it comes to fulfilling the puzzle-like objectives. Some base actions allow players to battle. Battling a column, battling a row. Battling is the core of the game. That's how you disrupt your opponent's strategies, by destroying cards in his grid, in his zone. The attacker, first thing, chooses an opponent's single line to attack. The battle is a skirmish between one of the attacker's line in his zone and one of the defender's line in his zone. Then the attacker ante, he may flip up any face down Kumi cards in his participating line, plus discarding cards from hand per one extra attacking power each, regardless of the type. Then the defender may ante, right after the attacker has anteed, by flipping up any face down Kumi cards in the participating line, the line that has been attacked, and by discarding cards from his hand to add one defense power per discarded card. Then we compare the results, and the losing player must take casualties. If the loser lost by 0 or 1 points, she chooses which card in the participating line has to be removed, creating an empty space. If the loser lost by 2 or more points, is the winner who chooses which card in the loser's participating line it's discarded, is removed, creating an empty space. At the end of the turn, regardless of whether you took an action turn or a score turn, you draw Kumi cards, a number of Kumi cards equal to the number of empty spaces plus 1. And then you may play Kumi cards to empty spaces on your zone, on your grid. Mollie, how do you win Sashimono?
Well, since it's a high complexity game, you're going to want lots of practice.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about before with the solo variant.
Yeah, high learning curve, right?
Yeah. So if you have time to play it by yourself, do that. Then you're able to know what to do when you play against your component.
Yeah, even the author in the rulebook provides for a quicker variant, just for you to play your first games and getting a general understanding of, I should have done that. Oh my God, So yeah, practice.
Yes.
First advice, practice makes perfection, or practice makes perfect. And second?
And second, since you win by having 2 samurai cards
in the shorter area, in the longer area 3.
Okay, yeah.
by scoring bowed Sashimono cards.
Exactly. You always want to look at your opponent and make sure that if they are about to bow samurai, or if they have them, you want to
disrupt their strategy, right? Before they score.
Yes, always keep an eye on your opponent. That's number 2.
Thank you, Mollie. Thank you guys for watching us. Check it out. The campaign is starting soon. Sashimono. Western Army, Eastern Army. Western, Eastern, Western.